Welcome to HOTSPOT Update, your go-to source for quick and accurate updates on the world's hottest current events. If you're looking for a clear and objective perspective, you're in the right place. Let's dive into today's topic.
Tensions in the Gaza Strip continue to escalate as the Israeli government announces new steps in its military campaign, despite widespread opposition from the international community. Many countries and humanitarian organizations have collectively warned of the risk of a worsening crisis, with millions of Palestinians facing hunger, lack of aid, and threats to their safety. Stay with us to follow the developments of this tense situation. On August 10, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that Israel has no choice but to complete its mission and defeat Hamas, as the group refuses to lay down its weapons. He added that Israel is working to enhance the distribution of aid in a humanitarian wave, and is inviting more countries to join the Israeli military's efforts with humanitarian aid drops.
The war can end tomorrow if Gaza, or rather if Hamas, lays down its arms and releases all the remaining hostages. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will have overriding security responsibility. A security zone will be established on Gaza's border with Israel to prevent future terrorist incursions. A civilian administration will be established in Gaza that will seek to live in peace with Israel.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Given what the IPC says is the unfolding spectre of famine in the Gaza Strip.
5 principles for concluding the war. 1, Hamas disarmed. 2nd, all hostages freed. 3rd, Gaza demilitarized. 4th, Israel has overriding security control. And 5, non-Israeli peaceful civilian administration.
Battle. There's an 8th front, the propaganda war, the information war. Is Israel winning or losing this war?
Given Hamas's refusal to lay down its arms, Israel has no choice but to finish the job and complete the defeat of Hamas. We're not going to leave the remainder of the Israel Security Cabinet instructed the IDF to dismantle the 2 remaining Hamas strongholds in Gaza City and the central camps. Contrary to false claims, this is the best way to end the war and the best way to end it speedily.
Again defended his decision not to send weapons to Israel which can be used in Gaza. He said a friendship can and must withstand that. From
designating rather safe corridors for aid distribution. You can go, you can drive trucks there, and you'll be safe. 2nd, increasing the number of safe distribution points managed by the Gazan humanitarian foundations. And 3, airdrops. That's airdrops done by the Israeli Air Force, and we're inviting others to join us.
And not the Palestinian Authority. Can you specifically identify who this civilian governance would be? Do you have any concrete entities? Or
how to get the remaining hostages alive as we close in on Hamas. And there are various ways that I think, creative ways, that this can be done, but again, I won't go into that now. CNN. I don't want to prolong the war, I want to end the war. And I think the other suggestions would have prolonged it. We may have gotten maybe a dripping of hostages, even though Hamas showed no willingness to do that. And then they just go on and on and on, and we'd have this endless. Unless you are willing to just say, Israel, capitulate, go out. And even then, I don't think we'll get all the hostages. And if we capitulate, it means that Hamas will rearm, regroup, and carry out all the threats that it openly professes every day, by the way. Every day they say, we're going to do the October 7th massacre again and again. Yatar David, look at his hand, at his arm. Look, I respect Friedrich Merz. I think he's been a good friend of Israel, but I think he's buckled under. He's buckled under the pressure of false TV reports, the pressure, internal pressure from various groups.
Expansion of the new offensive, and if you can give us a few more details about how you're going to provide about this humanitarian surge and how...
In fact, we have decided, and I've ordered, directed the military to bring in foreign journalists, more foreign journalists, a lot. There's a problem of assuring security, but I think it can be done in a way that is responsible and careful to preserve your own safety. So the directive has been since, when is it? 2 days ago.
Previously, in an interview with Bill Hemmer of Fox News, Israeli Prime Minister stated that Israel intends to take full military control of Gaza. Israel's plan to expand its military offensive in Gaza has faced sharp criticism both domestically and internationally. European representatives at the United Nations stated that famine is spreading in Gaza, and Israel's plan will only worsen the situation.
Our ultimate goal remains unchanged: Israel and a fully independent, democratic, contiguous, viable and sovereign Palestinian state, of which Gaza is an integral part.
The suffering endured in Gaza over the past 22 months has been nothing short of soul-searing. I'm extremely concerned over the prolonged conflict, the reports of atrocities and further human toll that is likely to unfold following the government of Israel's decision to expand military operations in Gaza. This marks a grave escalation in the conflict that has already inflicted unimaginable suffering. Now, for over 670 days, Palestinians in Gaza have endured daily killings and injuries. More than 61,000 people have been killed.
With the latest announcements from Israel, we needed to pull the alarm bell. As we said on August 8, France condemns in the strongest terms the plan of the Israeli government to extend its military operations to take control of the city of Gaza in order to militarily control the entire Gaza Strip.
Recently, Israel's Security Cabinet approved a plan to take over Gaza. China is gravely concerned about this and urges Israel to stop the dangerous move at once. Gaza belongs to the Palestinian people and is an integral part of the Palestinian territory. Any attempt to alter Gaza's demographic and territorial structure must be firmly resisted. The lives of 2 million Gazans must not become casualties of war. The weaponization of humanitarian aid is unacceptable, as is the collective punishment of Gazans. Attacks on aid-seeking civilians and humanitarian workers are unacceptable. Israel must fulfill its obligations as an occupying power under international humanitarian law, open all border crossings, lift restrictions on the entry of aid, ensure the large-scale, rapid, and safe flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza, and support the United Nations in carrying out relief efforts in a manner consistent with humanitarian principles.
We condemn the government of Israel's decision to further expand its military operations in Gaza. This plan risks violating international humanitarian law. We call on Israel to urgently reverse this decision and not to implement it. And we reiterate that any attempts at annexation or of settlement extension violate international law. Expanding military operations will only endanger the lives of all civilians in Gaza, including the remaining hostages, and result in further unnecessary suffering. And we are clear that Hamas must disarm and play no future role, no future part in the governance of Gaza, where the Palestinian Authority must have a central role. But this decision by the Israeli government will do nothing to secure the return of the hostages and risk further endangering their lives. It will also worsen the already catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza and risks further death and mass displacement of Palestinian civilians. We have a clear message for Israel. Lift restrictions on aid delivery to allow the UN and established humanitarian partners to operate safely and at scale, in line with the principles of humanity, impartiality, neutrality, and independence. After 22 months of suffering in Gaza, now is the time for diplomacy, no more war.
The foreign ministers of Turkey and Egypt issued a joint statement warning that this plan risks violating international humanitarian law. They described it as a policy of genocide and expansionism by Israel, while calling for global measures to prevent the implementation of this plan.
We discussed the recent decision by the Israeli cabinet to expand the scope of occupation and control over the Gaza Strip, as well as to escalate the occupation and military operations. We fully agreed, of course, on the complete condemnation of this decision, and we stressed the importance of uniting our joint efforts and coordinated action to confront this decision through various means, while intensifying regional and international pressure on Israel to deter it from implementing this decision.
As you know, the Netanyahu government has taken a new step and announced its intention to completely occupy Gaza. We categorically reject this plan. This plan is a new phase in Israel's expansionist and genocidal policies. As the Islamic world, we must act in complete solidarity against this step and mobilize the international community.
We also stress the importance of an immediate halt and the condemnation of all inhumane practices being carried out in the West Bank, including measures aimed at seizing land, building settlements, and making life impossible, whether in the West Bank or the Gaza Strip, in preparation for the displacement of residents from both areas. We emphasize that this is a red line that has never and will never be allowed under any circumstances, and affirmed that this plan, if implemented, would inevitably lead to the liquidation of the Palestinian cause. We agreed, of course, to work by all possible means to stop and confront it.
On Friday, August 8th, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz announced that Germany would suspend all exports of military equipment that could be used in Gaza. This move marks a significant shift in Germany's policy, long one of Israel's most steadfast international allies. According to official figures released by Germany in June, from October 7, 2023 to May 13 this year, Germany approved defense exports to Israel worth 485 million euros. Public opinion in Israel is also opposed to this plan. Families of hostages have called it a death sentence for their loved ones. Tens of thousands of protesters in Tel Aviv have demonstrated against the plan. In a related development, the Hamas movement expressed readiness to reach a comprehensive ceasefire agreement in Gaza with Israel and has proposed all possible flexibility through Egyptian and Qatari mediators. Hamas emphasized its willingness to achieve a comprehensive deal to release all Israeli hostages, ensure a ceasefire in Gaza, and secure the withdrawal of Israeli forces from the territory. The war in Gaza is entering a critical phase, with intertwined political, military, and diplomatic calculations. While Israel insists that defeating Hamas is the only path to ending the conflict, the international community continuously calls for prioritizing peaceful solutions and protecting civilians. The future of Gaza and the broader Middle East reconciliation process now depends on the decisions of the parties involved, as well as pressure from the rest of the world. We will continue to update you with the latest international news. Thank you for your attention and for following along. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated with our upcoming videos.